So in the last class we have seen the numericals on the main dimension design, and also yesterday I have forwarded you 2 examples, okay, on the main dimensions itself. You please go through that. Okay, those are solved examples, and I have managed to explain in the sentences itself whenever necessary in the examples. So today we will move to operating characteristics of transformer. Operating characteristics of transformer. Okay, so this will include operating characteristics include resistance, leakage reactance, no load current, losses, voltage regulation. These are the various operating characteristics of the transformer that we look into through the design perspective. Okay, already you people have calculated, you know how to find the resistance of transformer, leakage reactance you found out by using OCSC tests. Okay, no load current you can get from OC test, losses you can calculate from various testing methods, voltage regulation you can calculate from various testing methods. So those are the operating characteristics obtained after the transformer was fabricated and put into the service. Okay, so the test results whatever I get has to be verified with the standard values. So what we have to do is, during the design itself I should be finding all these operating characteristics. Okay, and after the fabrication of the machine I will be cross checking whether the designed operating characteristics are met with or not once the machine is fabricated or manufactured. So first we look into the resistance. Then we'll move to leakage reactance. Once I get these two, automatically voltage regulation we will get. Okay, it is easy to get the voltage regulation. Okay, so in the previous sections we have calculated the cross section area of the conductor. We had A1 is equals to I1 by T1 and A2 is equals to I2 by T2. Okay, so cross section area of the conductor is known. Now if I know the number of turns T1 and T2, sorry, I1 by delta, not T1, sorry, I1 by delta, I2 by delta. If I know the value of T1 and T2, that is number of turns in primary and secondary. If I know the area of gross area of iron, if I know the diameter of circumcircle, okay, and also if I know the insulation and clearance, width, I can get the length of mean turn. I can get the length of mean turn of each winding, primary and secondary. Okay, now why we will be going for mean turn? Say this is my single phase core type transformer, is having the winding, cylindrical winding. So this, we have cylindrical winding here and we have number of turns wound. Okay, let us assume that one limb carries primary, other limb carries secondary. Let us assume for the fact as of now. Now see, the length of innermost turn is very short and the length of outermost turn is very long. So getting exact length of each turn is difficult. So what we will do, we will take the length of mean turn. Okay, we will take the length of mean turn. If you see the cross section here, this is the cross section of the core, this is inner turn, okay, This may be circumcircle. This is outer turn. So this is length of main turn. Length of inner turn plus length of outer turn. That is circumference of inner turn plus circumference of outer turn divided by 2 is my circumference of mid turn, that is length of mean turn. So once I know the length of mean turn, I can calculate the resistance. Okay. So let R1 and R2 be primary and secondary resistance respectively. Let R1 and R2 be primary and secondary resistances respectively. So therefore R1 is given by rho LMT1 divided by A1 ohms. Okay. Rho LMT1 divided by A1 ohms. Okay. I will write ohm bit far. So this is the resistance of mean turn. Now this is length of mean turn is LMT. Okay. If the length I have taken only for one mean turn, this is the resistance of one mean turn. Such how many turns I have? I have T1 number of turns in primary. So multiply it by T1. Rho LMT1 by A1 into T1 is the total primary resistance. Okay. And R2 is equals to rho LMT2 divided by A2 into T2 ohms. Okay. LMT2 is the length of mean turn of primary, secondary. Okay. So you can write where LMT1 and LMT2 length of mean turns of primary and secondary winding respectively. Primary and secondary winding respectively. All other things we know. A1 is the area of cross section of primary conductor, A2 is cross section area of secondary conductor, T1 number of primary turns, T2 number of secondary turns. Okay, and rho is resistivity. Rho is resistivity and is generally equals to 0.021 ohm per meter and mm square. I told in the DC machine and induction machine, that is what ohm per meter and mm square mean. It should be ohm meter. Okay. So if I take a conductor of length 1 meter and area of cross section 1 meter square, whatever the resistance I get, that is resistivity rho. But the fundamental definition of resistivity is the resistance of unit volume of the material. Okay. Yeah. So the total copper losses in the machine is given by. Now I know the resistance R1, R2. I already know what are the currents I1 and I2. So I can get the copper losses in primary and secondary. Therefore, total copper loss in transformer PC is equals to primary copper loss plus secondary copper loss. That is PC is equals to I1 square R1 plus I2 square R2 watts. So from this equation I can get the resistance referred to primary and secondary. That I can do. Okay, resistance referred to primary or resistance referred to secondary, I can get it here. So the resistance of transformer referred to primary is resistance of transformer referred to primary is R1. Capital R1 is primary resistance total resistance referred to primary. Small r1 is resistance of primary winding. Okay. R1 is, or if you are getting confused, you can take R01. The same notation what we used in our transformer study. R01. Okay. So R01 or R1E, that is R1 equivalent. Okay. Anything you can use, is equals to, I can write PC divided by I1 square. This will be equals to R1 plus I2 square by I1 square into R2. Okay. So R01 is equals to R1 plus R2 divided by K square, because K is equals to V2 by V1 equals to T2 by T1 and equals to I1 by I2. So it is I2 by I1, it will be 1 by K. So this is the resistance of transformer referred to primary. If we want to refer to secondary, okay, similarly resistance referred to secondary is R02 is equals to R2 plus K square into R. R2 plus K square into R. Okay, so this is the resistance of transformer referred to primary and referred to secondary. Next point what we will study is leakage reactance. So once I get resistance and reactance, I can find the regulation. Next is leakage reactance. First, to study leakage reactance part in the transformer, we should understand what is leakage reactance in the transformer, because it is one of a very big derivation. Okay, it is around 3 to 4 pages derivation it is there. Without properly understanding what leakage reactance is, why it exists and where all it exists, it is difficult to go through the derivation. For me it is easy, I can go through, I can simply write down the things. For you it will be difficult to understand. Okay, so first we will see from the principle of transformer itself how the flux is produced, how much flux is produced, how much flux is utilized. Okay, if you want you can make a note. Now this is a transformer frame. I provide primary supply, primary winding, V1, okay, and current I1 flows. A flux is produced in the core. The purpose of using core itself is this, that the linkage between primary and secondary circuits must be more. So this flux phi is produced here. So flux phi is produced, which links both primary as well as secondary. Now I am having secondary winding also here. Okay. Some load may be connected here. When there is load connected, the primary is inducing E1 voltage E1, the number of turns are say T1, number of turns are T2, EMF induced is E2, so there is voltage V2 existing across the load which is less than E2. Okay, the current I flows. Okay, now it is I2 flows. Now this operation we know that when current is supplied from the source to the winding, that is supply is connected to the primary winding, it will create a main flux phi, that flux is created in the core, that flux will go to secondary and link it, and an EMF is induced in both primary as well as secondary. This we know. But is it the flux phi which is totally produced by the current I1? Whatever the flux is produced by the current I1, majority of that flux is linked to secondary through core, but still minority of the flux is remaining, which is not present in the core, not linking to the winding, other winding. So that minority of the flux, okay, will be existing simply surrounding the coils. Okay, so this flux, let us take this as say phi 1. So phi 1 is the small amount of total flux produced by the primary winding, which is not linking to secondary winding. Anything that not links, we take it leaks. So this phi 1 is called primary leakage flux. Phi 1 is called primary leakage flux. Okay. So this part of flux phi 1, which is very small in quantity, okay, is not linking to secondary winding. It is simply completing its path near primary winding, and it is happily residing only in primary winding. It is not taking care of what is happening at the load side. So it is not taking any responsibility in energy transfer. It is simply enjoying. Okay. Now, if it simply enjoys, there is no problem. But even if it is existing, not doing any work, but it is creating small amount of opposition. Now what happens here is, flux phi 1, supply voltage is alternating, current I1 is alternating, flux phi is alternating, therefore E2 is alternating, current I2 will be alternating, voltage V2 will be alternating. Flux phi 1 is also alternating, because it has produced from the same source. Now when an alternating flux phi 1 is linking to the primary winding, what will happen? An EMF is induced. Now there is an additional EMF induced in the primary winding. There is an additional EMF induced in the primary winding other than E1. E1, okay, let us take E1 is self-induced EMF in primary of transformer due to main flux phi, and it is given by EMF equation 4.44 F into phi m. Let us take this is phi m. Okay. Similarly, the same flux E2 is produced in the secondary. Okay. You can take E1 and E2, self-induced EMF in primary and secondary of transformer due to main flux phi or phi m. So E1 is equal to 4.44 F phi m into T1, and E2 is equals to 4.44 F phi m into T2, purely based on number of turns. Okay. Now what is this flux phi 1 doing? This flux phi 1 is not linking to secondary, but it is linking only to primary. Therefore, this flux phi 1 will induce an EMF E1 in the primary winding. So this small E1 is produced in primary winding completely due to leakage flux, not due to main flux. Now how many voltages are there across primary? Primary voltage, supply voltage V1, primary induced EMF E1, and leakage induced EMF E1, small e1. So three voltages are acting simultaneously in the primary winding. Okay. So three voltages are simultaneously acting in the primary winding. But across any circuit we have seen, as per the circuit theory, if there are any number of voltages across the same component, the resultant of all the three or all the number of voltages will exist. So the total voltage or the effective voltage in the primary circuit, which is simple series circuit, will be the effective voltage or the resultant voltage of V1, E1 and small e1. And what is that resultant voltage? You have to apply KVL. Is it? You have to apply KVL. So apply KVL. V1 is source. The direction of V1 is towards the winding. But whereas E1 and small e1, okay, E1 is minus or E1 is d phi or d phi m divided by dt, and E1 is d phi 1 divided by dt. Induced EMFs, okay, self-induced EMFs as per Faraday's law. Now, these are not only existing, but as per the Lenz law, they are also opposing. Okay, these two are not only existing in the primary winding, these two are also opposing the primary source, that is V1. Hence, these come with minus sign. So there is one voltage which is acting towards the winding, and there are two voltages which are acting away from the winding. So if I have to take the resultant voltage, okay, the effective voltage by applying KVL here is, it will be V1 minus E1 is equals to 0, and V1 is equals to E1 minus E1. Sorry, E1 plus E1. I haven't considered the resistance. If I consider resistance here, let us take it as ER1. Drop across minus ER1 is equals to plus ER1. So I can write V1 is equals to E1 plus ER1 plus E1. Capital E1 is the RMS voltage of self-induced EMF in primary due to main flux. Capital ER1 is the voltage drop, that is I1R1, simple. It is I1R1, nothing else. Then what is this E1? How do I represent this E1? That is the biggest problem now. Because it is an EMF induced due to the inductance of the coil. EMF induced due to inductance of the coil, and if I have to mention that, I should be writing it as L di by dt. If I write that L di by dt, what will happen? Okay? If I write that L di by dt, it will become a differential equation. This simple equation will become a differential equation. Solving a differential equation is more difficult than solving a simple linear equation. Is it? This is one case. Second case, one term which is the voltage is simply represented as the product of some resistance and the current flowing through that. Can I also represent this E1 in the same form? Okay, I can do that. So this E1 is also represented with some I1 multiplied by some imaginary term. And that imaginary term I call it as X1. That X1 is leakage reactance. Why it is called reactance? Because the induced EMF in that due to the leakage flux is reacting back on the source. It is always reacting back on the source, whether it is in transformer or generator or anywhere. It is always reacting back on the source, hence it is called leakage reactance. Now this is what leakage reactance. Now how I should represent the voltage that is induced due to leakage flux? I1 into X1. In secondary side, I2 into X2. In generator, IA into XI. In transmission line, IL into XL. Line current into line leakage reactance. Okay? So this is the significance of leakage reactance. Wherever we go, we are talking about leakage reactance. Okay? So now I want to find this leakage reactance as the operating characteristic of my transformer. okay, as the operating characteristic of the transformer. Now the question is, why it will not link the secondary winding? Because there is a space between primary and secondary winding. If there is a space between primary and secondary winding, not all the flux lines created by one winding will link to the second winding. Wherever there is mutual induction, there will be leakage flux existing. I can't have complete flux produced by one winding linking to the second winding. Always there will be leakage flux present. In ideal transformer, I consider this leakage flux to be 0, but in practical transformer, always there exists this leakage flux. So if there is leakage flux, there will be leakage reactance. Because of this leakage flux, there will be a leakage induced EMF. And I should represent that in the form of drop, voltage drop, because it is opposing the voltage, supply voltage. So I want to represent it in the form of a drop. One I have represented already as a product of current and resistance, the drop. Now similarly, analogous to IR drop, I will be taking IX drop. This is how the reactance concept came into picture. Okay? And it came in equation. So this is all about leakage reactance. Okay, this is a very fundamental level, leakage reactance. Okay, if you don't understand what is leakage reactance, it is difficult to understand the behavior of the machines. Okay, now going one step ahead, how in all ways this leakage reactance is linking the winding? That is my question. Okay, we know that transformer, core type transformers are with cylindrical winding structures. Okay, so I will draw a core type transformer. I will erase it. Okay. I will draw winding only on one side. It will be similar on the other side. Okay. So this is core type transformer. Let me have this as core section. Okay. And I have the circumcircle. Then I have, say for example, primary winding. This already we have seen in the first class of transformer, how the windings are placed, but it will be a brief repetition also. Okay. Now suppose this is primary winding. Okay. Then I will provide a small air duct, a gap. And then I will keep the layer of secondary winding. This is how exactly the transformers are wound. Okay. This is outer turn, this is inner turn. Let us take this with the hashed lines, okay, just to differentiate between primary and secondary. Now this is the top view of the winding. Now if I cut the transformer along the height of the transformer, okay, what I get is the circumcircle. Then thickness of primary winding. Then I have air duct. have air duct here. Then I will place the secondary turns. Okay, so this is secondary winding. Let me use the hatchet structure. So this is how the windings look. Okay, now I have a flux, main flux. When the current I1 flows, this is the main flux phi, and I have the leakage flux. Okay, so that leakage flux will not complete its path to the secondary side. Okay, so the black dots what you see is the leakage flux. Now where all the leakage flux is linking? It is linking to core that will form the total flux itself. So this primary limb, okay, this primary limb will carry the total flux, but whereas this horizontal limbs will carry only the useful flux. Okay. So now this leakage flux, I will draw thick lines only to understand, is linking primary coil, is linking secondary coil, is also linking the air duct, this air duct between primary and secondary coil. So now I should be finding what is the leakage reactance due to the leakage flux linking to primary. What is the leakage reactance due to leakage flux linking to duct? Linking to secondary will be secondary leakage reactance. Similarly, whatever we take for primary, I will take it for secondary, just by changing few terms in the equation. Okay, so I want to now know what is the leakage flux linking to primary winding, what is the leakage flux linking to this air duct. Secondary winding I will take in terms of primary winding, similar to primary winding by changing simply the number of turns, that's it. Rest almost everything will remain same. Now you can observe that when I place the number of turns in primary and number of turns in secondary, I am getting sufficient amount of thickness of the coils. Can you see here? Can you see? This is the width of primary coil. I have some air duct. This is width of air duct, and this is the width of secondary. Okay. I have certain width. Supposing that all this complete width of primary encompasses all the number of primary turns. Width of air duct and width of secondary will hold all the number of secondary turns. Okay. So these are the fundamentals that I need to go through the leakage reactance of the transformer. Okay. So these are the fundamentals or basic things that you need to remember and imagine whenever we talk about the linkage, leakage and other things. Okay. Though I took almost a class to deal with this, this is extremely important to understand the leakage reactance derivation, because that derivation is one of the very important derivations which has been repeatedly asked in many question papers. It is important with respect to examination point of view. It is also important with respect to understanding point of view. Okay. So today I will stop here. In the next class, tomorrow morning 8:30 class, I will start with the derivation. Okay. So please go through this lecture video once again before attending tomorrow's class. Okay, it is required. So thank you for joining. We will meet in tomorrow's class. Okay?